obviously you have even more than just sales power. You're also using things around the hypnosis, and obviously your NLP training comes into play. They're all instruments that provide massive leverage when it comes to influence and using a process that gets people to make those kinds of decisions. So then, where have you seen this be most useful for a salesperson to take on these additional tools? Do you consider this the baseline that we should be learning as salespeople, especially if we're thinking that technology is automating a lot of this, these scripts and these qualifiers? Are we trying to get more into the hypnosis side?
You still have to get on the call. You still have to get on the call. And you still, if you're doing real estate or something like that, I've been training people here in the United States who do door-to-door solar. They have to knock on the doors. You can't have an AI script knock on the door for you. And so I train them. And I train them in this mindset that says, you're always selling decisions and good feelings about decisions. And you're never doing cold calling or cold door knocking. You're extending opportunities for the other person to make a better decision than they ever knew was possible. See, I believe selling is about two things. It's about sneaking your ideas in the other person's mind using hypnotic subconscious language. But here's the more important thing. It's about expanding their minds to include your ideas, to include new ideas that they never could see as possibilities before. The idea of consciousness expanding being the fundamental part of selling is a bat bleep crazy. I don't know if I can swear in your show. It's a bat bleep crazy way of thinking about selling. But honestly, I think that a good, great, masterful salesperson expands the consciousness of the prospect to see things they didn't think were possible in the world, possible for them, matches their identity, and something that they believe they deserve. Because never underestimate your prospect's lack of belief in their deservingness to screw up a sale. No one ever tells you that or thinks about that.
I like this idea of having a role in expanding their consciousness. I've never heard it phrased that way, but it's something I want to put in my back pocket. I'd be curious to know what makes it so that it's so hard for us to make those decisions, that we feel like we need this consultant service provider to actually come in. Because you've heard about, we won't need salespeople. We have all the information on the internet. And as more technology comes, the further away I see that from being a reality.
Bullshit. Listen to me. Here's the problem. Number one, your prospect is so overwhelmed with so much input and stimulus coming in, they can't pay attention. You're the one who has to get them focused. Don't assume they're coming to you with a blank slate and an eager, open, focused mind. They're not. That's number one. But number two, this is another one that will blow your mind. It's no longer enough to get know, like, and trust. Everyone repeats that same fortune cookie saying, you have to get know, like, and trust. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. I say that's not enough anymore. That used to be true 10 years ago. Now there's another factor. You have to get the prospect to trust themselves that they can make a good decision. Your prospects no longer trust their own ability to make good decisions, and with good reason, because they've been screwed over by their institutions. And a confused mind doesn't make good choices. They have too many options, and therefore they're confused. And an unfocused mind doesn't make good choices. So how can you get the prospect to believe in their own ability to make a good decision? And you cannot do that consciously. There's no way to consciously convince them that they can trust themselves. You have to get through to the unconscious or subconscious mind. It means the same thing. I'm a hypnotist. I use the words interchangeably. So how do we do that? If I were to say, Mr. Bumface, well, Mr. Bumface, I guarantee you'll make a great decision to sign the contract today. You can trust yourself. Mr. Bumface is going to give me the finger. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to suggest it. I'm going to imply it. I'm going to say, before we begin our exploration together today, this opportunity, I just want you to promise me one thing. Will you promise you'll share the questions that naturally arise when a great decision's being made? Now, did I say who's making the great decision? No. Did I say why they're making the great decision? When the great decision? How the great decision? Who? For what reasons? No. Or when? No. I just said a great decision is being made. That's so vague that when you're vague and confusing, and yes, in a great sale, if you want to be a masterful salesperson in today's day and age, not the way it was 10 years ago, but today and moving into the future where people will be even more overstimulated, you have to know when to confuse your prospect and be unclear. So when you say a great decision is being made, the only way they can make sense of that is to do what we call in hypnosis a transderivational search. All that means is the unconscious mind begins to process every possible meaning, and it comes up with the one that fits the situation best. So on the unconscious level, they're gonna be thinking, the unconscious level, where the decisions are made. Unconscious, subconscious, same thing. They'll be thinking, oh, I can make a great decision. So you have to suggest that they can trust themselves. So my point is, know, like, and trust is no longer enough. You have to convince them or get them to convince themselves that they can make a great decision. And the only way to do that is through artfully using suggestions to create confusion and to create a vagueness and a lack of clarity. You really want to get good in sales, know when to be unclear, when to be vague, when to be confusing, when to break rapport. The idea that you must always be in rapport is a stupid idea. It's an average idea. It's an idea for losers. There's times to break rapport when you must be confrontational. When you must be confrontational, you must be confusing, you must be shocking. Now, this is contrary to what you've been taught, but I'm telling you, it works.
Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.